Greetings, I'm Epictetus, and this is Epic Tech, and I am horrible at this game. Okay. I can at least get a 3, right? Tell me I can get a 3. I got 3! Ooh, am I gonna get 4? No. Okay, 4. I got 4, compared to some of the other people that have played this game. How do I get out of this seat? That's the way. That works. Yeah, so, yeah, 71. That's pretty impressive. That's okay. I have the high score on Snake. So, that's, I got 73 on Snake. Makes me feel a little bit better. Also kind of makes me feel old, because I had Snake on a Nokia phone. It's amazing the kinds of things that you can do on scripts in this game. Both of these are done with, scripts. So this one has a piloting chair attached to a screen, and the code is all inside of it. And then this one, I believe, is a remote control. That's a manual button. That's interesting. How'd they hook up a manual button to programming board? Huh. Okay. Yeah, sure, that works. Why not? One way or another, the scripting in this game is absolutely fabulous. And so today we're going to be talking a little bit about scripting, and it might get a little bit dull. I'm just going to say it right now. If you're not into coding and, you know, that kind of thing, you might just want to just click away. Don't worry about it. You can give me a thumbs up for warning you ahead of time. I appreciate that. But we're going to be looking at some of my code today. I did not write those games. I'm not that good. Not by a long shot. But I did write some other stuff, and I have an order for 5 to-do lists. So these 5 screens are soon going to have my brand new to-do list, or task list. I've decided to change the name to task list because it's kind of, I don't know why I called it task list, because it just feels better. So in my laboratory, I have this guy right here. And I think I showed it a little bit in the last video, but basically you turn this thing on, and then you can add new items to the list. I actually added in this to-do list install. Oh, that should say task list. Well, that's okay, because we can hit enter /del, and then I can click on the to-do list and it goes away. Then if I hit enter and type in task list install for Marco, it adds that to the end with a little red thing next to it, and if I tap that it becomes green. But we're not done. We're going to install this downstairs. Now the way this works is this programming board writes to this data bank right here, and then whenever the programming board turns on, it can read in what's in the data bank, and it can write it to the screen using some not too bad HTML. So if you know HTML, this is my HTML. It's actually, for HTML, it's fairly simple. And then there is code in there to handle screen clicks and all that kind of thing. So we might get into that a little bit. For one thing, I'm going to need to change this, because this right now is in portrait mode. I'm sorry, this right now is in landscape mode, and downstairs Marco has it set for portrait mode. And I have a nice little thing in here. Go to edit Lua parameters. I've got a little thing that says portrait mode. Check that box, hit OK, turn it off and back on again, and now this whole thing's in portrait mode, but all the buttons still work as expected, and we've got the little ... at the end. Because the names are too long. But we can shrink the font a little bit. So if we go back into edit Lua parameters, I have a max shown. I happen to know that somewhere around 20 should work, I believe. Turn it off and back on again. It's a little bit better. One way or another, we're going to take this and install that downstairs, but with their own databases. Data banks. They're called data banks. So let's take a quick look at the code here. and see what I've done. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each line, don't worry. I mean, boring is one thing, but this would be really boring. There are these different slots, and each slot can have different pieces of code. So for example, in slot 1, which is my screen, I have a mouse down code that calls a piece, just code elsewhere in my system called touched, and passes in the coordinates. And I happen to know that that code is up in library. This is where most of my code is stored. For example, these are the settings that you can change. And this is the CSS, that's the styling information for landscape mode. And then this is the styling information for portrait mode. And then there's also a little bit over in this unit section that's just kind of setting things up to start with, doing the basic beginning stuff. Also, I did a little tricky GD thing, but we're going to talk about that in a second. You'll notice that slot 1 and 2 both have a mouse down event. One of those is the screen. The other one is the databank, and the databank should not be able to have a mouse down. But I don't want to be stuck into having a certain slot in a certain location. So I did a little trick. All right, so in this game, you can copy scripts from one programming board to another by right-clicking, hitting Advanced, and going to Copy Lua Configuration. And then we can run downstairs. So I wonder, did he give me build mode rights? He did. You're a lovely man, thank you. Okay, let's try this first one. Oh, he's got bigger screens than I do. That might be nice. So we're going to paste Lua configuration from clipboard. And then he does not have any databanks. I am going to need databanks. This databank, we'll put it right there, and I'm going to sink it in. I'm just going to, yeah. Should I sink it in that far? Oh, why not? That looks kind of cool. Oh, no, I don't like how it flashes. No, that's going to bother me. So we'll put it right like that. All right, and then we need to link these puppies from programming board to databank. This target slot has incompatible filters. Reset slot, delete filters, and process or cancel no. Oh, it does not like the fact that I have set up the filters for the screen on both of them. So if I link to the screen first, and then I link to the databank, yeah, it's going to delete my extra filter. Okay, so what that means is that my little cheat of putting the mouse down in both slots didn't really work. Just in case you're curious, what I did was when I copied the Lua using the right-click menu, I then pasted that into a text editor, and then I copied the slot into multiple places, the code into multiple places. But yeah, it's not going to work. So it's always going to have to be screen first and then databank. I can live with that. That is acceptable. You just have to know. All right. So now if we activate this, there's nothing on the screen. But if I hit enter and say task list install for Marco, and I hit enter, look at that. Task list install. Okay, let's change the font size. So we're going to edit Lua parameters. We're going to say that this thing can now fit 25. There we go. Well, 30 works pretty well. That might be overkill. So we have a functioning task list, and in theory we can, yep, so I can toggle that to green. I think he's going to want these to be horizontal though. Well, we'll fiddle with that later. For now, I'm going to go ahead and install 4 more of these. And we're going to paste and paste and paste and paste. And now, as long as none of these have errors, we are going to be just fine. Ooh, I wonder if I turn all of these on, can I type to all of them? Let's find out. Task list install for Marco. Ah! It actually put them on all of them. That's great. I think if I do /del, they all go into delete mode. Ooh, that could be a problem. Well, I'm going to delete the extra one there. Yeah. So what happens if I click here? Just drops out of delete mode. Perfect. And then I can just go through and click on each one of these. Hey, look at that. But normally, you would not want to have all of these running at a time. I wonder, it'd be kind of nice if we could set up like a pressure board. Let's see, what is it called? I think a pressure tile. So if I were to set up a pressure tile, how close would one want to be? You know, the only problem is, if I'm standing right here to turn that on, is that... people might want to be standing a little further back. Yeah, we're not going to do a pressure tile. What about a small detection zone? Oh, that small detection zone is not small. So if I were to set up one of those for each board, it would end up triggering like the boards next to it as well. So this right here is our organization's shop. So we can actually like walk in and just buy things. Yeah, discounts, detection zones, and ECU. Okay, here we go. Large, medium, small, extra small. I would like one of these, please. Ooh, that's still a little tight. You could end up easily triggering the one next to you. And you wouldn't be able to stand very far back unless I put it on the ground. Let's give it a try. Okay, so I'm going to link this detection zone to that programming board, which should mean... I'm also going to rename this programming board. We're going to call this task list 1. Okay, so in theory, if I walk up to this, task list 1 starts, and then can I do this? Test. Guess so. If I walk up to this guy, yeah, see, I just started task list 1. I could very easily accidentally end up adding things to more than one board. Not happy with that. We're going to toss this idea. This is not going to happen. I mean, if you wanted to spread these out a little bit, you could do that, but they're too close together right now. Horizontal would work. I'm gonna make one of these horizontal just so he knows what it looks like. Whoa. Those are transparent screens? Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't realize that. And I think I'm just gonna go ahead and set up another one. Let's link these guys up. We're gonna change the parameters. And then this time we're gonna set this to like 15, not portrait mode. And we're going to do install landscape sample for Marco. Yeah, I think he's going to end up liking that much better. But I will let him figure that out whenever. So, one of the other people in the organization named Waka, I assume that's how that's pronounced, he wants this radar thing. So he wants something that will identify radar targets and put it up really big on his screen. So when he's slow boating his way across the universe, if somebody shows up with the intention of murdering him, his whole screen will light up so that he can kind of do something else while the ship's just flying on its own. Kind of an automatic red alert sort of system. So I've set up this little dynamic core right here. So this is technically a ship, but in this case, this ship only has a pilot seat, a screen, and a radar. And this is just it's a small atmospheric radar, but all the code should be pretty much the same between this and a larger space radar. So in theory, I've already done a little bit of coding on this. When I pop into this seat, I should have seen... So if I look at here, I've got a library thing. This is just one of my standard functions that finds elements. This is the one I care about. Okay. So this code is going through and it just kind of says that it's starting up because I was having an issue with it even running code at all. It's a whole long story. And then it looks for, in this case, atmospheric radar, which I'll switch that out later. Then it looks for a screen attached. It shows the radar on screen. So this will eventually get rid of this. This was just so that I know that the radar is actually functioning. It grabs the entries from the radar, which means all ships that are currently within sight. And then it's supposed to write the ID of the entry up on the screen. So if I pilot this... Oh, now it shows up. That's cool. It didn't before, and it does now. So that is the ID number of Epic's lab that we're sitting in, because it's set to go ahead and look at all cores in the area, including static cores. So we know that that's working. Now what we need to do is actually make that useful. In theory, I should be able to use the radar to get the construct name. So without going into a whole bunch of explanations on how code works, if you're watching this and you're not a coder, don't worry about it. I actually intend to eventually make a video all about how to do some basic code in Dual Universe. And if you're interested in seeing that, please tell me down in the comments that you want to see that. It would be a very basic level course for those who just want to dip their toes into coding in Dual Universe, to just kind of write some very basic things. Probably not this level, but I might continue to add to the series if it's popular. We'll see. But for right now, what I'm doing is I'm saying that I'm going to set some centered text on the screen that is the construct name of the first entry that the radar gives back. So in theory, if I sit down in this seat, instead of getting a number, I get something called unreachable. I don't know why it says unreachable. I have never actually played with real radar, so I don't know how that works. For this code, we don't even need it to actually give the right name. We just need to say, if there's anything on radar within range, we want something to come up on screen and alert the person that's flying the ship. So it doesn't really matter that we don't know what the name is. We just need to be able to alert the pilot, right? We could do that with a light. We could connect up to a light and do that, but I kind of want something really big and obvious on the screen. So now I thought initially about creating a widget. Now a widget is these little things in the corner here. So where it says atmospheric radar or programming boards or the command C control, those items there. But those are too small. I want something bigger. I want something that covers the whole screen if necessary, or if possible. So instead of doing that, we're going to set the screen of the HUD, like the actual in-your-face part. So we're going to do this. System.setScreen, and then anything in here is the HTML that I want to happen. So we're going to do some very basic HTML. Let's do okay, we're just going to play with this. I'm going to steal this code right here, and we are going to place it in here. Just like that. Unfortunately, it did not actually... I was expecting to be able to see nothing except for red on my screen, but it's not happening, so... Okay, I think I might see the problem here. I think I might need to also do a system.showScreen.true. No. System... Okay, here's show screen. Now this is really interesting. It says show screen bool. Okay. Now this is going to get into some really technical stuff, and I apologize for that. But in a lot of languages, 1 is true and 0 is false, and that's called a Boolean. Okay. In Lua, that's not how it works. So it's really strange that they say Boolean here, but then they say 1, show the screen, 0, hide the screen, because that wouldn't work. I mean, it kind of would, but 0 is actually true in Lua. Just for fun, let's go in and set this to 1, because it may be that they are actually expecting it to be 1 and not anything else. That is absolutely true. Look at that. A giant warning across the top of the screen. Beautiful. Wow, that is not a Boolean. And they say Boolean. That's okay. That's, like I said, this is a product under constant development. They're figuring things out just as much as you and I are. Anyway, instead of torturing you with all of the scripting stuff, I don't know how interesting you find this kind of thing. And I mean, I could do a whole video where I go through and figure out my code line by line, and, you know, deal with all the little problems and talk through it. But I have a feeling that that wouldn't really make great YouTube. So instead of doing that, I'm kind of doing this as a test. I'm curious about my audience, I guess. So you let me know in the comments below. Do you enjoy the step through of how does this work? How does that work? How do we figure these things out? Or would you rather just kind of see the end code and how it works? Should I even waste my time going through how it works? Or maybe you just want to see the end code, the end result? I have given you kind of some samples along the way. I did a little bit of just installing code. I did a little bit of this is kind of the general idea of how it works. And then in this last part, I went pretty much line by line, just a little bit, just a little taste. I will literally sit here and do that kind of thing for hours. Just happy as a clam the whole time. I love scripting. It's a lot of fun. I could never be a professional programmer. I'm way too ADHD because I can focus on that for an hour. But if I had to do that for 40 hours a week or more, like professional programmers, I would not be able to do that. I have to be able to do 1,000 other things during my day. I hope you enjoyed this kind of mini episode. If you have, seriously, this is very important. If you have enjoyed it, thumbs up. If you watched this far and you want to thumbs it down, by all means do so. But I please write in the comments and tell me what you didn't like about it, why you thumbsed it down. A thumbs down without a comment is just kind of a punch in the gut. I'll tell you, just honestly, as a YouTuber, it just kind of makes you feel like, what did I do wrong? You know, was it just because you weren't in the mood, or was it because I messed something up? If you put a comment in there and you say, this isn't my kind of thing, it's actually very informative. I would love to see comments that tell me what I did wrong so I can make them better. All right. Enough of that. I'll see you next time where we're going to go back to more normal stuff on Epic Tech. All right. Now back to coding.